So, Luke's favorite three memories of his life. Remember, he grew up in a community, a small community, Glenview, just full of World War II veterans, and the park drive that he lived on. Let's say there's like 60 or 70 families there, and everybody knew everybody else. Now, as an example, I'm in Tucson. I have lived here for 30 years. I live on a short street, and I know 3 people out of 30 people. This shows you how far away our country has gone from community living, family togetherness. So here's Luke, and what does he love the most? Standing in front of his house and watching his father, his uncles, all the veterans march by him on Park Drive, all the way around the circle. It's about six-tenths of a mile, and then they end up at the flagpole near the school, Park Place Academy. It's such a wonderful feeling, and everybody was cheering. Everybody was so happy to see them, and Luke especially. So that was his first favorite memory. And his second favorite memory was 4th of July celebration. Everybody in the park, all the families got together, big ball field, steak cooking, everybody, corn roasting, all the people happy. So many people happy to see their veterans back. They hadn't been there for 3 or 4 years maybe. And so all the things that happened, you'd be served by a veteran. He would cook you a steak, and you hadn't seen him for 3 years. And there would be baseball games and soccer games and little contests, who could smoke the cigar quickest or who could do the fastest running. And this was all in the big old ball field in the middle of the park and on the shores of the lake, Park Lake. So that was his second favorite memory of his whole life. Now, the third one is Lacey. He had a whole year worked with Lacey. They did everything together. They had a sweet, innocent, puppy love kind of relationship that actually was more than that. But in today's world, to have 2 kids, 14 and 15, acting like this, responsible and hardworking, they would meet at the library. He would walk her home. They, played soccer together. They played tennis together, and they sang together. And only once or twice did some kissing go on, but underneath the lilacs. And so this was a wonderful year for Luke. Never forgot it. And Lacey was like the love of his life for the first year when he was 15. And then he went off to school in Palo Alto, and he had to say goodbye. His parents took him in one of their Lincolns that was, a couple years old, and Mr. DeLuca took Courtney, the older sister, and Lacey and Mrs. DeLuca to Union Station in Chicago in his brand new Cadillac. So there they are, and Luke wanted to kiss Lacey goodbye so badly, and he just couldn't do it. And there he is, he's discouraged, he's walking toward the passenger car. He's starting to go up the steps, and out of nowhere, out of sight of her father, Lacey rushes up, jumps up on the step, and kisses him. I'm talking a Hollywood kiss. I'm not talking about a little kiss. It was wonderful. And he went back into the passenger car, and he sat down, and he saw Mr. DeLuca staring up at him very intensely, knowing what had happened, and he stared Mr. DeLuca down. First time in his life, he was taught to respect authority, but this was an exception. And so he left on the train, and he stared Mr. DeLuca down until Mr. DeLuca looked somewhere else. So let's hear it for Luke.